You guys have asked for this video for a very long time, and it is how to apply mycelium fungi to your plants. Now this works for both houseplants and garden plants. What I will say here is I am planting a tree, specifically a redwood, indoors. So it is a houseplant permanently. I do not live in a zone in which this plant will survive. So it's a houseplant in this case, but the rules are the same. So I'm going to give you 3 ways, probably more likely 4 ways, to apply mycelium fungi. Doesn't matter what brand, what form it's in, etc. and so forth, to your plants, whether they're pre-potted, ready to go, or something you're potting up here in this moment. Give you insight into what's the most effective versus not as effective. Now, this little guy, he's cute. He's already growing quickly. Despite me only having him for a week, he needs to get repotted. And that brings me to the number 1 way in which you can apply a mycelium fungi. So whether it's a powder or a kind of like a pebble form, like the Inoculant brand, which is the brand I have here, does not matter. The application process is the same. And the important part here is that it is directly root ball placed. So this is the most effective way to use mycelium fungi. I can do a video on the specifics of what goes on with mycelium, how it works, but essentially you have 2 forms. You have endo and you have ecto mycelium fungi. Ectorhizal or endorhizal are the 2 options. Ecto means it kind of just lays on the root surface. They kind of just hang out together. They talk, they capture nutrients, they solubilize nutrients, that sort of thing. Endo means they're married. They are like entwined with each other. So mycelium kind of goes into the roots go into the mycelium. They are connected as one, and so it's a symbiosis. They're working together to capture nutrients, solubilize nutrients. They're calling in microbes that decompose and mineralize different forms of nutrients, and then they're capturing water. They're sending out signals. They're like a big brain. That's the other option. The form of mycelium you use will determine if it's an endo or an ecto. The other thing is that the mycorrhizal fungi, and this is where I think companies dupe us as plant people, is there's a specific relation to the plant. So there are broad spectrum varieties or species of mycorrhizal fungi or inoculants that will capture a large version or a large majority of plants will fall under the umbrella of some form of symbiosis with that species. However, there are plants out there that will not form a symbiosis, endo or ecto, whatsoever with this form of fungi, and so there is really no benefit to it. However, trees and shrubs are 2 plants that will benefit from this. So if you have an indoor rose, if you have a redwood like I do, if you have a hydrangea indoors, if you have bonsai, any sort of bonsai, juniper, you name it, fir, fiddle leaf, like a fiddle leaf plant, we're gonna do a video on that, on clipping that guy up because he's huge. If you have a fiscus, things like that. Those are trees or bushes and or a bush, and so they will, generally speaking, form a symbiosis specific to the generic form of mycorrhizal fungi, which is called Glomus interdices, I believe it is. I'll spell it here. I don't know if I'm pretty sure that's a generic one. I'll double check, but that is the one that is in the Pro Mix mix that has with mycelium, like plus mycelium on the package. It's the one that you find in Demico. It's very universal. There's other plants that, like peppers, tomatoes, even cannabis plants would all work with these because those are technically shrubs. Like they aren't meant to be animals in their native land. So that is the plants that would work for this. Things like aeroids, monstera, crystallinum, anthuriums in general, philodendron, that sort of thing, they're not meant to be worked with mycelium. Not your generic form. Like I'm sure there's mycelium out there that work with them or in conjunction with them, either directly or loosely. And there's no harm to adding mycorrhizal fungi to a system that may not necessarily have a symbiotic relationship with that. Biodiversity in soil, just in general, is always a good thing. However, if you're banking on that to give you really good results and really rapid growth, save the money, it's not going to work. However, a lot of plants it does work with. And like I said, I can do a video more specific on this. Please let me know in the comments down below if that's something you're interested in. I always hesitate on doing very scientific, in-depth videos because I don't want you to get lost in the gibberish that is academia, because it really doesn't matter for the hobby so long as we're headed in the generically right direction. Globin standardices, I hope that is actually what it's called, otherwise I'm gonna look ridiculous for this whole video, is an option. Demico is the version I'm using here. I am using it with redwood. Now, transplanting is the best time to do this. Root ball placed, ideal. The reason for this, high moisture, which is exactly what fungus likes. So high moisture, just because it's in the soil profile, low UV exposure. This goes so underrated for both bacterial inoculants. So there's lots out there, like the nitrogen inoculants, what you use with peas and beans and that sort of thing. Those are UV sensitive. Fungi, to an extent, is UV sensitive. So the spores themselves are not as UV sensitive, so you don't have to worry about like the raw material, for example, being exposed to light. However, long term, you should be concerned about that, and that is why mycelium products or inoculants in any form will come in a opaque or metal or cardboard container where it's not exposed to light. And the reason for that is because it will destroy, to an extent, some of the material in there. So that is also why inoculating at the root is so important when it comes to the best results for your mycelium fungi product. Now, if you are not repotting, meaning you're not taking a root ball and placing it in new material, the alternative would be to disrupt the container around the root zone via a sleuth, a soil sleuth, for example, a toothpick, a spoon, your finger, doesn't matter, making a hole into the root ball section, putting your inoculant in there and then covering it over. This method would also work. You're going to do this in a dry form, so you're not going to solubilize it in water. You're not going to mix any water into the material. You're just simply going to root place whatever the product looks like. So if it is tiny little nuggets like this, or if it is a powder, regardless, that's how you're going to go about applying it. Now, say you don't want to disrupt the roots because you're worried about that, or you're in an environment where you're not going to freshly inoculate that zone, you could use the water method. Now, the water method is two different ways. Number one, if you have a powderized material, it would be simply involving placing that material in water. That is it. Very simple. That is it. Very simple. That will not, it won't be solubilized, but it's going to be mixed in with the water. You're going to water as normal. Some of just the gravitational pull and the mechanical flow of water will force some of that lower in the system. Some of that inoculant may stay on the soil surface. You're going to get a mix of the two. This will work. If you have a rock, like a little pebble, such as the Demico as an example, you would want to again, it's not going to be solubilized, but you want to mix it into the water. So you want it to soak for, 5 minutes in a warmer water or 5 hours in a cooler water overnight, 24 hours, whatever the case is. Mix that up so it makes kind of like a murky type substance, and that is what you would water into that soil surface. You want those nuggets to be dissolved into the water, which will then allow you to get the similar results to that of what a powder would do. So that is option number 2, would be a water solubilized during watering method. This will work. I would say this is number 2 and the most effective when it comes to actual mycorrhizal application. Number 3 is going to be a top dressing method. So this would involve no water. It would be the last on my list, again, because of that UV exposure. What you would do is you would simply broadcast or top dress with whatever it is, if it's the nuggets or the powder, on the soil surface. From there, you could water them in. If you desired, you could just leave them in place. My preference for the best result would be to water them into the root zone and then to mulch or to top dress with something else, whether that is sand or gravel like pebbles. decorative orchid bark, peat moss, extra potting soil, whatever the case is, I would try to cover it to reduce the exposure to the UV rays. And this would also go for plants in the event that you are doing the watering method. Just top dressing, like a quick little top dress, to try to reduce that UV exposure is going to be the best. Keep in mind, these mycelium fungi exist in the presence of the rhizosphere, which is the zone in which roots inhabit and all the inner spaces of that. So the important part is that you have fungi and the rhizomes in the same zone. And that's where that would come into place. So I hope this video helped you out in determining whether or not you should even use mycorrhizal fungi, how you should apply it if you choose to apply it, and all that fun stuff. If it did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.